Kisii County in western Kenya has for a long time grappled with the problem of multiple murders of people suspected of having engaged in witchcraft. Many of them have been killed despite there being no proof of such acts and the law warning against mob justice. The extrajudicial killings have also often been condemned by the government and civic society groups. We welcomed at Thomas Nyakundi's home. Nyakundi lost his mother who had a mental disorder. She was burnt to death by villagers who alleged she was involved in witchcraft. Her grave serves as a painful reminder of what transpired. Arer Mokaya, who is Nyakundi's son, is the only one in this home after his family took off fearing for their safety.
A group of men came to our house. They started beating up my grandmother. They beat her up with crude weapons, dragged her on the floor and burnt her to death.
My family is not here. They can't come here because they get angry. When they come here, they start crying, so I only get to talk to them through the phone. I can't meet them. I'm just alone in this homestead.
Most of those targeted are elderly women. Some have been forced to change their appearance to avoid falling victim to superstitious and murderous lynch mobs.
We fear for our lives. Most of us old people have to dye our hair black because we fear for our lives. They see white hair and automatically label one a witch, and you risk being killed.
Just a few meters from this homestead, we meet another victim of this crime. Victor Nchari lost his mother too. She was taken from her home and burnt to death. In the process of defending his mother, Onchari was badly injured by the mob.
They think that people are witches. My mother was not a witch. We came to establish later that she was very innocent. This was mistaken identity.
The witchcraft allegations by those who've lost their loved ones, they say that most of these perpetrators time when the owner of the land is aging, and they quicken up the process by killing them to start a tussle. The tussle is all about inheritance and of course societal issues like land ownership. The United Nations has catalogued some 20,000 victims of violence tied to fears of practices of sorcery across 60 countries worldwide in the past decade. In Africa, that violence takes many forms but largely targets children, women, the elderly, and people with albinism.
Witchcraft is an issue, is something that has been there for quite, I can actually say, since, times past, since time immemorial, especially among the people of Africa, so to say. The socialization that an individual grows up in is to a great extent responsible for escalating the beliefs, right, and the traditions and the perceptions that people have towards witchcraft.
This year, the African Union set out guidelines for how its member states should address the societal harms arising from popular beliefs about witchcraft, a belief that cuts across socioeconomic groups in Africa. Nick Mudimba, CGTN, Kisii County, Kenya.